Nobody better. Who's been there through thick and through thin. Todd Dery joins us right now on the Fan Hotline for the Dery Brothers podcast. Todd, feels like baseball, the smell of playoff baseball in the air here in downtown Cleveland.
Very excited, very exciting. And I'm very excited to be with you, Daryl, and you, Anthony. And if you would have told me a month ago, 3 weeks ago, I'd be making this call, I would ask you, what were you on, and could I have some?
Well, Owen made the call in July, so...
Well, I think Kenny made the call to a travel agent way back then, even when we were all burying the Guardians, because he's at Disney World.
That I'm going to Disney World video that was on the Instagram. If you're not following the 92.3 The Fan Instagram, that was worth the price of admission right there. Whoever put that together is a genius.
Ken is missing next week to go to the Magic Kingdom. He doesn't care about guards ball.
Well, so Todd, so you're somebody who definitely cares. And look, it doesn't matter. The beauty of this today is that it doesn't matter if you're like me and you buried them way back when. It doesn't matter if you're, one of the Dery brothers who might have called for the owner to sell the team at one point. It doesn't matter. Today, we all should be on the same page. How awesome would it be to continue this historic run and to beat that guy, one of the best pitchers in baseball over the last few years, a third time in 2 weeks with the stakes as high as they possibly could be?
It would be pretty. It's going to be, like you said, a tall task for sure. But they have done it, and they have the confidence, and they're playing. They're playing great baseball. Obviously, I will say this though: this is all gravy. This is bonus baseball. Okay, so I, for one, am not going to get too high or too low because I just can't. I still can't fathom that they made it to the playoffs. I mean, let's talk about the fact that this team has the worst batting average in the history of baseball for playoff teams. The worst. Think about it. There's been baseball playoffs for like 120 years. This team is the worst batting average of any of those teams, and they made it to the playoffs and won their division outright. It wasn't even a tie. That was, by the way, the beauty of that final game that my brother Matt and I both were at on Sunday. The walk-off homer by Brian Rocchio that gave them the outright win. So you can't even say, well, we tied with the tiebreaker. They outright came back from 15.5 games to win the division and 10.5 back in the month of September. It's absolutely insane. So anything is possible. Nothing's off the table. The fact that they did what they did, why couldn't they beat Skubal a third time?
Well, they beat them with bunts and infield singles and unforced errors. Is that the formula today? Or are you like me? My gut tells me someone's gonna take him deep today.
Well, John Kenzie Noel took him deep the last time out, and I was very stunned about that. Honestly, Daryl, I think they're going to have to work the counts and get that pitch count up and get him out of there. The odds of you scoring this offense scoring more than two runs against him are slim to none. You need another superb Gavin Williams start because I think this is going to be a pitcher's duel. And once you get to the bullpens, the clear advantage in the bullpens is with the Guardians. The Tigers bullpen has really, really not been great. The Guardians took care of that. I mean, when they took 5 of 6, Will Vest, their closer, they scored. They got him in the extra innings for 4 games. Brandon Finnegan is off the IL. He was a trade deadline acquisition, is known to walk guys. I mean, they got 7th inning Paul Sewald in their pen for goodness sake. So if you can get that pitch count up with Skubal, and that's going to be a tough thing to do, and get to that bullpen, I think that's the recipe to win this game.
The Shadows. This is a 1:00 game. How big of an impact do you think the Shadows are going to be in the late innings?
Well, it's interesting because since this is 1:00...
Shadow talk, baby. I love it. That's how you know playoffs are here.
This is why Daryl is the king, because who else is asking about the Shadows? But it's a great point, because come probably 5th or 6th inning is when those Shadows are going to start to creep up, and it makes it really difficult. Matt and I were at the game on Sunday, and we were talking about it, early on because it was a 3:00 start and how difficult it was, because when that pitcher is in the sun and you're in the shadow, it's really tough to pick up the ball on Skubal to begin with. It's going to be extremely tough with those Shadows.
Not only that, we had some interesting news about Chase DeLauder and the fact that he's going to be available. And I love this from the Zach Meisel column today. It says, J.T. McGuire, the Guardians outfield coach, delivered a crash course to DeLauder on Monday afternoon with a curriculum on the Cleveland outfield, on the green padded wall, on where and how the grass meets the dirt track, on shadows and routes and footwork, jumps and angles, wind patterns, along with hitter tendencies and third decks and sellout crowds.
That was quite a mouthful there. No, you know
best
what?
Best organization for a reason, right?
That's right. I will say that the Chase DeLauder thing, to me, I absolutely love it. Let's go. These two teams know each other so unbelievably well. This would be their third series in the last 2.5 weeks, to your point. The one person that the Tigers have no book on, because nobody has a book on, is Chase DeLauder. We can't forget, he was tearing it up until he got hurt. He's still one of the top 100 prospects in baseball. No one's seen him. And if somehow you can catch that lightning in a bottle, why not? I mean, it'd be a different story if it was Albert Bell, Kenny Lofton, and Manny Ramirez out there in the outfield. But when center field is essentially a platoon of Angel Martinez and Daniel Schneemann and maybe George Valera and Petey Halpin are playing, why couldn't? What's the difference? They're all unproven. Let's see what the kid can do. I'm not saying throw him out there and play him and hit him cleanup, but hey, why not? I mean, George Valera's been up for 2 weeks. He's done an excellent job. So I have no problem with this DeLauder move, and I think it is a lottery ticket worth having on the roster. You know, I go back to 2022. They didn't use him, but Bo Naylor spent basically the entire season in AAA, and then they brought him up as the third catcher. Just kind of to get a feel of what it was like to be in that big league clubhouse and around the team. They're also possibly just doing that for DeLauder, but I think even the thought of having him gives the Tigers an extra thing that they have to worry about.
You know, for both these pitchers, and we're talking to Todd Dery, it's their third consecutive start. Gavin Williams might have been his best performance, even though he went 6 innings to strike out, 12 guys. He had a total command. So they have confidence in that regard. On the other side of things, for the lineup, I love how you sometimes had some bold takes on what you want to see that lineup look like today. We haven't seen it officially posted as of yet. What do you think, Todd, today? What makes sense in this third go-around? Well,
they're going to play John Kenzie Noel. I don't love him. He did have the big homer last year, and he did homer off of Skubal in one of these games in the last 2 weeks. So I think John Kenzie will most likely be out there. You got to have Manzardo DHing. So if Noel is going to be in this lineup, I would far prefer having him at first base. I think that if you're a casual to this team, you don't know, but if you're a hardcore fan like myself and Owen, you know that Kyle Manzardo plays first base. To put it mildly, he's not the greatest first baseman.
It's charitable, yes.
Yes, and I don't want to be giving up in games of this magnitude. You cannot afford to give your other team free outs. So you have to have him at either if this is going to be that right-handed lineup. I wouldn't be surprised if Jonathan Rodriguez, J-Rod, is out there in right field playing hitting cleanup like he did twice this weekend against lefties. And John Kenzie Noel was at first and Manzardo was DHing. That's not going to surprise me one bit. And I know we're all freaking out and thinking, are we really going to be in a playoff game with Jonathan Rodriguez in cleanup? But I come back to what I just said. Who's that much better? Seriously. I mean, again, it is Jose Ramirez, Kyle Manzardo, Stephen Kwan, and a bunch of question marks. So it's a shot in the dark, but J-Rod's got a hot bat, so why not?
Which Guardian not named Jose Ramirez and Stephen Kwan has to be the X factor in this series, not lineup?
I am going to go with Brian Rocchio.
Do it.
And I'll tell you why. He's hitting ninth at the bottom, 8th or 9th at the bottom of the order, which basically turns it back over after one time. So it's having that second leadoff hitter. He's a switch hitter, so he's always going to be out there. Defensively, he's a gem. But if you can get what they are calling October Rocchio, this is the team calls him that.
Yeah.
Welcome back, October Rocchio. If he can do what he did last October again, then the Guardians' offense it takes it to a completely different level. You have to get some production out of somebody that is not named Jose Ramirez and Steven Kwan and Kyle Manzardo, and I think Rocchio's going to be that guy.
We all remember the sixth inning, which might end up defining the season for the Guardians, everything they went through, the adversity of the David Fry situation. But I also remember in that inning, they had three different guys sent up, basically the bunting brigade, to try to lay those down. And I just heard the disgust in your voice, but it worked. What is the situation this time? Because it feels like you're not going to get that lucky again.
No, I mean, that sixth inning was literally the most 2025 Guardians of them all. Scoring 3 runs without hitting a ball out of the infield and just the voodoo magic. I'm anti-bunt. Anybody who listens to the podcast, Dery Brothers Guardians Cast, on Odyssey, by the way, if you know, you know. Bunting is for losers. I've been saying it for years. I only endorse certain bunts with certain people at certain times. I do not understand why Terry Francona did this, why Stephen Vogt allows this. If I am the manager of this team in 2025 in general, unless I tell you to bunt, swing the bat. And Stephen Kwan is such a great hitter and puts the ball in play. For the life of me, I don't understand why he's always trying to bunt. I couldn't understand why Angel Martinez, who's better from the right side, 100 points better, was trying to bunt in that situation. They're going to have to score runs the conventional way to get this game. I'm completely against bunting, unless your name's Will Wilson, who's not on the playoff roster, or Hedgie in certain situations.
I right now am praying that the Guardians win this series on a bunt. We just won a game on a hit batsman. I mean, everything's in play right now.
It's true. And you know what? I would be over the moon to be wrong and to win on a bunt. That would be fantastic. But again,
what if the Guardians won the World Series on a bunt?
I don't care if they win the World Series, on a wild pitch, whatever. Just win me a World Series. I don't care. But the most Guardians, you brought it up. C.J. Kafis getting hit by a pitch on a walk-off to score Petey Halpin. Like we all drew it up in late March, right?
Yeah. All right, finally, and Todd has been through thick and through thin. Should I ask him what I asked Curtis Danberg earlier today?
I think you have to
power rank the all-time playoff moments in Progressive Field.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Okay, Todd, you got the music.
All right, are we going to bottom to top or top to bottom here?
It's a Todd-based ranking. You can do it either way.
All right, so I'm going to do number 1 overall, Rajai Davis's home run. I've said it many times. Other than the birth of my children, it's the greatest moment of my life. I was with my brother. I literally jumped into his arms and wrapped my legs around him and cried. It was so amazing. That's number 1. Number 2, if you were there in '97, you remember how amazing that series was. The walk-off bunt, fake bunt attempt by Omar Vizquel. That was an incredible. I would put that at number 2. I would put David Fry number 3, but you got to combo that with John Kenzie because those are it's the same game, but those are one moment for me. And then I'm going to go off the grid here, non-playoff game.
Whoa.
The Albert Bell 95 walk-off grand slam off of Lee Smith. It was the first of the most incredible, 95 Indians walk-off moment, that walk-off grand slam by Albert Bell. If you were in the park, probably the loudest that park had ever been.
No love for Tony Pena.
Yeah, I said Tony Pena because it ushered in the new era in the postseason. I see what you're saying. You're saying, but that was like a welcome to what this place could be like come October.
And it happened at 1 a.m.
I was going to say I was there. It was very late, and I will say this: I kind of forgot about that, so that absolutely deserves to be on the list. And in my office, I have framed photos of all the great moments in Indian/Guardians history, and I do have one of Tony with his arms in the air. So that absolutely deserves to be in the top 5. My bad.
All right, Todd, you got me fired up. I got some chills. I got to be honest. Towards the end there, I got the chills. That place is going to be absolutely rocking. I know short turnaround, but that place will still be full. It will still be loud. And I said all the nice guy Skubal stuff that ended last week. That was a great story. That was nice. Now it's playoff time. That crowd better be on him from the start.
I agree, and I will say this: if you're going to the game, if you were there this weekend, these crowds were amped this weekend. Oh, and you were at the games this weekend, right?
I was, yes.
I mean, didn't you think the crowd was already in October form?
It's felt like for 2 weeks, the last 2 weekends, the crowd was in October form. Yeah,
and if you are contemplating going, there is nothing better than October baseball. Being there, it is just so electric. I know it was the World Series, but that Rajay Davis moment, you can't get a natural high like that. You just can't. And you could in playoff baseball.
And Skubal and Hinch, they already talked about the crowds in Cleveland. I think to some extent, the team and the fans might already be in their heads a little bit, which isn't going to be needed because this is a great pitcher you're going up against. Thank you, Todd. Love it.
You got it, boys. Have a great one.
All right, Todd Dery from the Dery Brothers podcast. You can check it out. Terrific job. That got me pumped up.